What's in today's podcast? Oh man, I misbuttoned my shirt. But I don't think anyone noticed, and you can't see me, so let's just start that one again. What's in today's podcast?
Doom!
What's in a Podcast, episode 003. Last time on What's in a Podcast, we discussed dinosaurs, a topic that captures our imaginations because of their massive size and the fact that, well, they aren't around anymore. In fact, the vast majority of species that have ever lived on the Earth are extinct. Something I was reminded of when window shopping, if that's what it's called, on Amazon, and came across a book entitled All My Friends Are Dead, with a sad green Apatosaurus on the cover. Although evidence has been left behind, we can still only theorize as to what brought about the mighty lizard's end. Some theories, of course, are more likely than others, but they include an asteroid impact that created the Chicxulub crater, disease, or as Giorgio puts it,
it is possible that extraterrestrials may have wanted to trade out the dinosaurs for a more intelligent species in their likeness, and Earth was the perfect place to do it.
Were the dinosaurs killed off by a cosmic natural event, as mainstream scientists believe? Or might the dinosaurs have been the target of extermination?
So our extraterrestrial progenitors decided to remove the dinosaurs from the Earth so that we humans would not be crushed underfoot. But how long will these alien overlords abide mankind on the Earth? When speaking about contacting or finding intelligent extraterrestrial life, Stephen Hawking warned, "We don't know much about aliens, but we know about humans. If you look at history, contact between humans and less intelligent organisms have often been disastrous from their point of view, and encounters between civilizations with advanced versus primitive technologies have gone badly for the less advanced. A civilization reading one of our messages could be billions of years ahead of us. If so, they will be vastly more powerful and may not see us as any more valuable than we see bacteria. This statement is ingrained in our culture from Independence Day, which, of course, has one of the greatest motivational speeches of all time. This is our Independence Day. It gets me every time. To Futurama, the source of the opening of this episode. Morbo, a late-night news anchor in New York, often proclaims the destruction of mankind at the hands of his vastly superior alien race. Morbo is not alone, however, as Lur from Omicron Persei 8 has repeatedly threatened the destruction of Earth, and there is a nearly constant threat of the entire universe being destroyed by giant brains. Whether we find the alien apocalypse to be plausible or not, the end of mankind or the destruction of Earth is part of the collective conscience. The only nagging question is, what will bring about such devastation?
Some say a comet will fall from the sky, followed by meteor showers and tidal waves, followed by fault lines that cannot sit still, followed by...
This Tool song, Anima, I think that's the correct pronunciation, since it uses that weird combined AE grapheme. Anyway, that song suggests an astrological catastrophe. something that Maynard later explains that he wants to happen in order to wipe out Los Angeles. The summer of 1998 saw the release of Armageddon and Deep Impact, where we were barely spared from annihilation by asteroids. If the machinations of the universe do not send giant rocks hurtling towards the Earth, nature may still be the cause of our end. On January 25, 2006, An Inconvenient Truth premiered at the Sundance Film Festival. At that event, Al Gore declared that if we did not make drastic changes, like painting all of our roofs white, eating locally grown food, maybe traveling only by horse, or only using 1 square of toilet paper, I don't know. He wasn't really specific. Anyway, he said that we would reach a point of no return in just 10 years. Of course, it is now 2017, so none of that really matters, I guess. There is no hope. Another iteration of man versus nature that inevitably leads to an apocalyptic dystopia is the zombie plague. Even in the more upbeat movie Fido, where a scientist has learned to control the zombies, making them subservient to the living, only a small enclave of people survive. The Walking Dead is markedly darker, but provides a glimpse into the many moral questions that arise when your very survival is on the line. I like the show, but I wish the writers would allow the group to, learn and grow and get better. I was hopeful at the beginning of Season 3. The season opens with the group clearing a house, being smart, being quiet. But later in the season, they allow the doctor, to go fight the zombies, which, of course, does not work out well. A little hint for you all: if you ever find yourself in a survival scenario and are lucky enough to have a doctor, do whatever you need to do in order to keep them alive and well. We can connect with the world in The Walking Dead because that world is presented beautifully. The practical effects, makeup, and settings are used to great effect. This, of course, is based on the comic artwork originally illustrated by Tony Moore. I quite enjoy the art of Tony Moore and was fortunate to meet him some years ago at a conference in Miami. He is definitely talented and was very nice. Of course, I was buying his prints, so he may have just been nice so I would spend more money, but I'd like to think it was genuine. While we are entertained by stories about zombies, we probably don't feel that a zombie apocalypse is a likely scenario. But if the end is not brought about by the living dead, how do you suppose the world will end?
I want to go with something human related. Could be nuclear war. Probably nuclear war. Let's go with nuclear war. Let's do that.
I think the world will end with the internet and robotics, with the extinction of people.
Humans will end the world. I'm going for nuclear war.
I would say we would bring it upon ourselves.
An ever-present idea in these answers is that we will bring about our own devastation. There was mention of computers, most likely a reference to the Terminator series. To me, the conflict between man and machine is more existential, raising more metaphysical questions into the nature of consciousness and being. This is probably because I fell in love with Cameron from the Sarah Connor Chronicles and can't imagine fighting her. This idea of man being the bringer of his own destruction does bring us full circle back to our earlier discussion of aliens. There is a paradox named after Enrico Fermi that explains the contradiction between the high likelihood of extraterrestrial life and the lack of evidence of such life. If life is not unique to Earth, it stands to reason that there must be civilizations far more advanced than our own. So where are they? The conjecture is that there is a point beyond which a civilization will advance where it secures its own destruction. Thus, we most likely will never be visited by ET. But how could such a cataclysm be brought about? That question was answered on July 16th, 1945 at 5:29 a.m., when the fruits of the Manhattan Project were realized with the detonation of the first nuclear explosion. Speaking of this event, J. Robert Oppenheimer said, "We knew the world would not be the same. A few people laughed, a few people cried. Most people were silent." I remembered the line from the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita. Vishnu is trying to persuade the prince that he should do his duty, and to impress him, takes on his multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." I suppose we all thought that one way or another. If you want to hear a great telling of the history of atomic weapons, I suggest Dan Carlin's Hardcore History podcast, episode 59. That day, we entered the atomic age, and the threat of nuclear warfare has hung over us ever since. Randy Newman's song, Political Science, is a satirical take on that sentiment.
No one likes us, I don't know why. We may not be perfect, but heaven knows we try. But all around, even our old friends put us down. Let's drop the big one and see what happens.
Lyndon B. Johnson used the Daisy ad, in which a little girl plucks petals from a flower to attack Barry Goldwater and imply that he was more likely to push the button, as it were. Joe Biden levied a similar attack against Donald Trump, arguing that he was unfit and should not be trusted with the nuclear codes. At a campaign rally in Ohio, he said, "He has no idea what the hell he's talking about. And guess what? That's okay sometimes. But I've got a military aide with me carrying a briefcase. No, I mean this sincerely. That briefcase has the nuclear codes in it, and, God forbid, if something happened to the president and a decision had to be made, I open it up and the nuclear codes are there. Just imagine giving this guy access." I personally think that the danger in that situation was created by Biden himself, pointing out the guy carrying the codes. Hopefully we will avert such catastrophe, but the end is inevitable. Even those that are religious, those who have a faith in the afterlife, understand biblical prophecies about the end of days, such as those contained in the book of Revelations. However inevitable the end may be, if we are to have any hope, I think we should accept the advice of Bill and Ted and be excellent to each other. And, as Maynard suggests in the Tool song I mentioned earlier, learn to swim. Please join us next time when we discuss a more upbeat topic. Find us at www.whatsinapodcast.com, no apostrophe, iTunes, and just about anywhere you listen to podcasts. Join our discussion on Reddit at r/whatsinapodcast or on Twitter at whatsinapodcast, all with no spaces and no apostrophe. Don't forget to rate us and share us with your friends, and thanks for listening.